salt-baked salmon. If you don't feel like a ham or a roast for the holidays, it's a really, really easy, impressive, and pretty quick thing to serve. 4 ingredients: salt, fish, citrus, and herbs. And when that whole fish hits the table, people's minds are gonna be blown. So let's make it. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna slice our citrus. I love to use lemons and grapefruit. You could use all lemon, you could throw in an orange, a blood orange would be lovely. And when you're slicing these, you don't wanna go too thin, about 1/8 of an inch. And don't worry about the seeds. You're not eating this, it's just for perfuming the fish. So now comes the fun part where we get to make our salt crust, which is just salt and water. It's about a box of salt. And the kind of salt that we're using is kosher salt. We like diamond, and no, I'm not paid to say that. We're putting our salt in a big old bowl, and then we're gonna add our water. You wanna work it until it feels like wet sand. The idea here is that you're creating a seal. So if it's not wet enough, it's not going to seal, it'll just crumble away from the fish. A good way to test whether your salt crust will hold together and create that seal is by taking a little bit of that salt mixture and kind of pressing it together in your hands, creating like a little ball or patty. And if it stays together without crumbling apart, then, you know, you're pretty good. So now we have our fish, our citrus, our herbs, and our salt crust. And that's all you need. So I'm going to put a thin layer of salt on the bottom, and that's gonna protect the fish from the heat of the bottom of the tray, and also give us a chance to put the fish in contact with some more of the herbs and the citrus. Nobody's gonna see the bottom part, so it's definitely just for flavor. For this one, we are using dill and tarragon. I like those the most because I find them to be the most fragrant of all of the tender herbs. So we have our first layer of citrus and herbs, and then I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna put him on top. So while the salt crust is going to season the fish mostly from the outside in, I still like to season the inside with just a little bit of salt. So I stuffed the inside of the fish with another third of the herbs and the citrus, and now I'm gonna do a little bit more on top. Make sure that you arrange this in a nice way that you will be pleased to see when you take it out of the oven. So take your salt, and you just wanna pack it in just right on top of all those herbs, the citrus, the fish, and cover everything up. It doesn't have to be a thick layer, but it does have to be evenly covered. So we have our salmon, he's all tucked in, ready to go, and we're gonna put him in the oven to bake for about 40 to 50 minutes. So one way to test if your fish is done is you can take a cake tester and insert it just sort of anywhere where it's meaty. I like maybe the middle of the fish, poke it, let it sit for a minute, and then touch it to the bottom of your lip. It should not be hot, it should be warm though. And as soon as it's warm, your fish is cooked. So to take the salt crust off, take the sharp end of your fish spatula or a regular spatula and pierce the crust along the length of the fish. And as parts of it start to flake off, that's fine, you can just sort of let it fall away. Because it's only in there for about 40 or 50 minutes, the citrus stays nice and bright, the herbs stay pretty green, they still look really great. So when it comes time to present the fish, you're gonna wanna bring it to the table, and you can either bring it like this, or you can lift him out of the bottom of the salt crust, present it that way. But from here on out, it's basically just peeling the skin away and taking the large chunks of fish and putting them on a serving platter. I think something like this is really perfect as is, but if you wanna serve it with a little citrus beurre blanc, it would only make things better. And then a little herb salad on the side. So you're just echoing the flavors that are already in the fish. And that is our salt-baked salmon with citrus and herbs. For the recipe, go to bonappetit.com/holidays.